some colour on those cookies. It's pretty good. All right, you ready, mate? Here we go. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for being late. It had to happen sooner or later. The combination of a few things. One, didn't get up on time. That's probably the main one. But even though I did, oh, my God, my co-host here, JJ, he's bumping whenever you see the camera bumping around, that's him under my feet and my desk, knocking everything apart. He's funny. He does get so excited about this. I don't know why. Eventually he'll fall asleep on the couch, but at the start, he loves it. Sorry, my phone's going off. I've got to set it on private. So it's a great start to the week. I'm not answering it. I'm just sending it to private for now. If they've got a message, they can ring me. Yeah, so it was my fault, but it's also, I blame if he ever watches this. It's Jordan Ditlow's fault. So shout out to you, Jordan. He put up a post today, and he's very well connected in the political circles, that this is Jacinta Allen's last week. She's been told by all the caucuses within the Labor Party that she no longer has their support. So it is basically a fait accompli now that Ben Carroll will become the leader, and he will cop maybe a little bit of shade because he made a commitment. He looked Jacinta Allen in the face and said, I'm not going to challenge you. But technically he doesn't have to challenge her because she's lost all the support. She's being told she can no longer continue. Now, she could try and dig her heels in, but that would be kind of stupid. She's got to see the writing on the wall. And for Victoria, that whole thing then is a disaster. But before we get into that, that's why I'm late. So we're going to get into that in real good detail in a minute. But before we do that, we've got to do all our normal things. And the first thing we've got to do is show you our magnificent view across the bay. And there she is. We've got a beautiful, clear blue sky again, which actually is becoming a concern because we need rain and we're not getting it this winter. It's very cold, but as you can see, the Port Phillip Bay is a pond, and then we'll get you a wider picture today, and that's across the Port Phillip Bay to a little peninsula sort of thing around there, and then you can see across the bay, and you can see the Mornington Peninsula there in the horizon. So very clear day, very, very clear day. And looks like we're going to have another pretty good winter's day, which I'm not complaining about too much. The only concern I have is unless we get some rain, we could be facing a summer with water restrictions, which would be a disaster. Why do we face water restrictions? Because no one builds dams anymore. You know, we can build everything else, but we can't build a dam. We can spend billions on the big build. We can spend billions on these stupid renewable wind farms and solar farms, but no one can build a dam because, you know, you might knock off some sort of rare frog we've never heard of before. But they've got no issues about the frogs when they build their windmill farms. The hypocrisy from the ALP and the Marxist is incredible. All right, so the other thing we've got to do for the regular watcher, and we're going to need that this week, is a little Bible passage. Because sadly in Melbourne and Victoria, and I'll tell you my reasons why, I think we're heading for another ALP team. The writing was on the wall. The only way the ALP was going to lose is if they kept Jacinta Allen. I was going to be surprised if they did. I picked this a few weeks ago, and I'm not surprised. I do not underestimate the ALP. Others may, I don't. And we'll get into that in a minute. So today, July 27th, God's call to Abram, Genesis 12, 1 through 7. The amazing thing about Abraham, is that he obeyed God's instructions when he had so little information, just God's promise. The Lord said to Abram, Leave your country, your relatives, and your father's home, and go to a land that I'm going to show you. That could be each and every Victorian after November. I will give you many descendants, and they will become a great nation. I will bless you and make your name famous so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, but I will curse those who curse you. And through you, I will bless all the nations. When Abram was 75 years old, he started out from Haran as the Lord had told him to do, and Lot went with him. Abram took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all the wealth and all the slaves that had acquired in Haran, that they had acquired in Haran. And they started out for the land of Canaan. When they arrived in Canaan, don't know if I'm saying all this right, Abram traveled through the land until he came to the sacred tree of Morah, the holy place at Shechem. I'm definitely not sure I'm saying all this right. At that time, the Canaanites were still living in the land. The Lord appeared to Abraham and said to him, "This is the country that I'm going to give to your descendants." Then Abram built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. Probably an appropriate passage considering what we're about to talk about. So anyway, so I'll show you the clip. I'll just get it up here in a minute of Jordan Ditloff this morning. And shout out to Jordan. He's a good man, libertarian. Won't hold that against him. But a man of integrity and a man who's turned his life around in an amazing story. If you want to find out about an amazing, I don't know whether he's written a book. I told him he should. But incredible the way he has turned things around. Here we go, News 24. So I'll show you my X feed because this is just getting beyond a joke. There's so many things in our side when we've got so many things we've got to address. That is bizarre. So Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says he's never yelled at his dog Toto. One, bullshit. Joining the chorus of uproar. What uproar? Everyday people understand. After Barnaby Joyce disciplined his farm dog Stella on television. He told her to sit down. That's not bloody discipline. The discipline actually comes before it, where the dog understands that command. If you're a dog owner and you haven't yelled at your dog, at some stage, I did on the weekend with mine. If you'd seen him in action, you'd understand why sometimes, and I love my dog to death, no one would love their dog more than I love mine. And by the way, if you want to, those ones who splurges money on your dog and buys them outfits, I'm not too sure that's a love, as adulation, but there's a big difference. But don't know whether here he is. I mean, this boy, he's my family. Can't see him. I'll show him you later. But I've yelled at my dog. Everyone does, for God's sakes. Yet the media want to make a big song and dance about it. Now you got Elbow jumping in. You know what Elbow raises his dog, which I think is animal cruelty. He treats it as a vegan. It's not allowed to eat meat. Now, I'd rather a dog owner who yells at their dog and tells it to sit down and he'll feed it a carnivorous animal's food, which is meat, than a person that just gives it vegetables. That poor dog. That's animal abuse. But so anyway, let's get into these posts from Jordan. Do I have them? Oh, no, there we go. It's a bit of a disaster, this, for things. So there's Jordan's. We'll read his out. Jacinta Allen has been informed that she no longer has the support of the various factional conveners to lead the Labor Party. Now, Jordan stood for politics federally. He's right into organising a lot of the branches for the Libertarian Party. He's very good friends with a number of the Libertarian MPs, such as David Limbrick. So he would know. He'd have his tentacles into the rumour mills within Parliament. So as he said, she's done. Ben Carroll will get the poison chalice. Now, this is where I disagree with it. It is a bit of a poison chalice. I actually, though, think Ben Carroll has every chance of winning this election, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Don't put it past the Labor machine to turn around a dire position given how weak the Libs are. And how I agree with that, but also how non-existent One Nation is. We've got to call a spade a spade. I want One Nation to do well, both federal and state level, but we'll get into them in a minute. I actually think now the ALP will win this next election. They won't win by a lot, which is a disaster. It would be better if they got a majority in both houses. They're not going to get that. We're probably going to have a minority government in the lower house, and we'll have a bunch of misfit so-called independents in the lower house. The upper house. So that minority government will have to go begging and crawling to a bunch of people that are realistically communist, Marxist nutters. Whether they're Green, Teals, Animal Justice Party, all those sort of things, the Legalised Cannabis Party. We've got them all in our upper house. They're all nutters. So, and this is a shout out to David Limbrick and Jordan for the work they do. In Victoria, I back the Libertarians. The Victorian Libertarians are different from the other ones. So I think it's more important now than ever before we keep a person like David Limbrick in our upper house. And if we can add Tim Quilty to it, which he's in a country seat, country people have good common sense. I hope they do it. But it's kind of sad in Victoria that the empty seat is leading the polls. The empty seat is the One Nation Party. I have been trying to get people, pleading with them, and I'll show you my chat in a minute. Warren Pickering and Bianca, I can't pronounce her name, so I'll try to do it. I think she's got an Italian background. Seems a nice lady. I've been pleading with them to come on to this podcast so we can share some love with One Nation and try and get a bit of a profile. I don't have a huge following, but I might have a bit more of a reach than most because I can share it with others who can then share it on their platforms. That's how social media works. Even if I don't get a huge amount of viewers to it, other people with big followings can get that viewership up, which we've had in the past. But, so if I'm a politician and I'm getting invited on a podcast and I know damn well it's going to be a positive podcast, I'd be all over that. That's the way people communicate. But One Nation in Victoria, I'm not saying federally because I've had Malcolm Roberts on, but One Nation in Victoria have just gone to ground. Ever since the Flinders by-election, we've had no one. So I don't know what the hell that we're under 18 weeks now. The political party machinery is moving. Ben Carroll will be the premier for the next 17 weeks. And he's got one job, and that's to win the election. One Nation has missed a golden opportunity politically. They had to have their people in place 3 months ago at least. They needed an opposition leader for their party. They need people for their cabinets. They needed people who would fill the treasurer's role for ministry, an opposition spokesperson for education, police, all sorts of things, energy, and they need to be out there outlining their policy platform. From what I can see and what I've looked at in my own time, because they won't come on the podcast, the Victorian One Nation policy platform just mimics the federal one. It doesn't have Victoria-specific policies. Now, guarantee you that Ben Carroll and the ALP machine and the trade unions, they're going to hammer One Nation over this. And by the time we get to the election, One Nation may be leading in the polls. The reason they're leading the polls is no one likes the two major parties for good reason. We want a third option. And if One Nation had been organised, they would have been that third option. They could have legitimately won government. The polls are screaming that out. You win the most votes, you win the most seats. Doesn't mean you win a majority. You might even not win enough to form government. But you then have an amazing bargaining tool to go to the LNP, people with similar values to yours, and say, let's form government. That's how a democracy works. We have a vote. We see how many seats you've got. If you've got enough seats to form government, great. Otherwise, you've got to cobble together seats either with opposition parties or independents, which has happened plenty of times before, and you form government that way. You can't form government when you've got no one to lead in a negotiation. And you've got to earn the trust of the people. I mean, Victorians aren't going. I mean, we cop our share in Victoria, but Victorians are politically attuned. They're not as dumb as what people want to say. The reason there's an ALP government for 12 years, listen, I hate to say it, in his first term, Dan Andrews did it for an ALP socialist premier, did a half-decent job. Then we saw he was true colours in the second term. And then it's been disaster ever since. So you never should ever elect a socialist. We did. Usually after 4 years, the public wakes up and kicks them out. We didn't. But one of the major reasons for that is we've had a hopeless opposition that have shot themselves in the foot several times. And I'm talking about the LNP, and you've got to now ring in One Nation to it. This is on the One Nation side, sorry, and I love a lot of the One Nation policy platform. They've been nothing but good to me, so it hurts me to say this, but in Victoria, it's a disaster. They had to get in before Ben Carroll became premier. Ben Carroll, I don't agree with his policies. I don't agree with his politics. I don't agree with his ideology. But Ben Carroll is a different operator from Dan Andrews and Jacinta Allen. He's smarter. He's a better communicator. He comes across well in interviews. He comes across well on the screen. I can tell you now, he's going to run rings around Jess Wilson. And he's going to run rings around One Nation because they got nobody. So everyone's been playing these stupid little games in the lead up to this election. But right now, ALP's in the box seat. The LNP have to win 17 seats. That's a landslide. Can anyone out there see the LNP winning 17 seats? And by the time we get to the polls, the ALP will have put One Nation through the ringer, whether they've got candidates or not. I mean, the classic line is with One Nation, who are you going to vote for? The empty seat. And One Nation have put themselves in that position. They've had since the Flinders by-election to get their act together, to get a leader, to get half a dozen candidates. We keep getting told they've got all these candidates ready to go for the next election. They've got a plethora of candidates to pick out from for their things. So what's going on? I want One Nation to do well, but you can't do well operating like this. And it hurts me, it pains me to say that. So, you know, we're back where we started from. We've got a ruthless, efficient, politically smart organisation in the ALP, who I hate to death, but they've hit the ground. Once Ben Carroll is appointed, apparently by rumours it's Wednesday, they will hit the ground running. And at that point, it'll be close to over. Ben Carroll will kill Jess Wilson in any debate. Jacinta Allen wouldn't. Jess Wilson would have torn her to shreds. Victorians are looking for a strong person, especially with the crime rate we've got. Ben Carroll will present himself as that strong person. And sorry to all the feminists out there, most voters, when they're looking for strength, will look for a man. And Ben Carroll, yes, I know they don't know what a woman is. They've probably had their little play with that, but Ben Carroll is a man and he's an efficient operator. You can hate him for all you like, but he will appeal to the undecided. For those who are wavering with their support for the ALP, he will solidify it. And for those who have left to go to One Nation, they will now look to come back. Got no doubt about that. And all that, forget what the LNP do, all that says to me now that the ALP, unless they muck this up royally, and they're too efficient to do that, the ALP will win government again in November. The Liberals do this every time. They just assume government's coming their way. They've been walking along being Labor light yet again. They've got the moderates reigning supreme within their party because that's why Brad Batten got knifed. So in a state where crime is a huge issue now, they had a conservative former police officer, a man of integrity. All right, he wasn't as politically as tuned as others, but they had the ideal candidate to be the leader to take them into this election, and they knifed him for some university graduate who speaks well. Jess Wilson can speak well. She comes across well. She won't match Ben Carroll. She would have demolished Jacinta Allen. She's not going to match Ben Carroll or the ruthless union machinery behind them. And she's got David Southwick as a deputy. I mean, the man can't put two sentences together. And he'll come up with some stupid stunt like his hospital ambulance stunt he did last election. And alongside them, we've got Georgia Crozier still, the same one that helped him with that stupid stunt. We've got a bunch of imbeciles within the LNP ranks. And until they get better quality candidates, if I was the Liberal Party, and I said this ages ago, and it's too late now, I would have formed some sort of alliance and had a war cabinet. So for some of you who don't know what a war cabinet is, in times of war, you can have a political leader who brings people from across all political perspectives, left, right, whatever. They just put the best people in charge. And I would have formed the war cabinet, and I would have recruited David Limbrick to be my leader of the opposition. David Limbrick would come across very well against Jacinta Allen, number one, and against Ben Carroll, number two. They do not have a leader within the Liberal Party that can beat the ALP. And when you get to these elections, it all becomes about the leaders. So if what Jordan Ditloff is saying is true, and I've got no doubt it is, Blind Freddie could see this was coming, then, yeah, we've got a fourth term of ALP government coming our way. And God, I hope I'm wrong. God, no one will be happier to be wrong about that assessment than me, that we get anybody else than the ALP. But I don't think I am. So, and for all those who want to smear Victorians, you haven't lived through this. You don't know what we've got. We don't have any efficient opposition. If we did, they would have been in government already. People are looking for change, but they're not going to give it to people, one, they don't know, One Nation, and people who over the journey have showed they're incompetent Liberal National Party. So, and you know, you watch what will happen. It'll get to a minority government, and then all the ones in the Liberal Party will start patting themselves on the back about what a great job they've done. Oh, my God. They should have been back. Last election, after all the COVID restrictions, and they couldn't win government, it's beyond belief. Sorry, guys, I need that coffee this morning. So, yes, it's not a great way to start a Monday, but that's what we're looking towards. So anyway, pretty much what Jordan said, I've replied to in it. We'll give you a quick rundown. That's pretty much what I put in there anyway. But Jordan put this up, so I've got in there. Interesting and disastrous. I called this last week, which I did. I don't like Ben Carroll's politics and ideology, but he is a significantly better communicator than Allen and so much smarter. He will run rings around Jess Wilson. He's a member, this is important, he's a member of the right faction. He's not a socialist. So he will appeal to business leaders. And he comes across well on the TV screen. There's nobody in the LNP leadership group who can match him. That's just a fact. He will appeal to undecided voters, calm the nerves of wavering ones, and win back many who've left. That'll happen. If he wins back, say, 10% from those protest votes that go on to One Nation, he's won government. I've been banging on also for the past 4 weeks about One Nation, probably longer than that actually, Victoria, and the bizarre situation that they lead the polls but have no leader, no potential cabinet, and no candidates. I've been pleading with their leadership to come on my podcast to promote who they are and what they represent, yet crickets. All I can guess is they thought they would fall into government. If that's their strategy, it was a horrible underestimation of a disciplined and ruthless political machine. They've missed an amazing, this is my opinion, and I don't know they'll get it back. They've missed an amazing window of opportunity in political history simply because they refused to play. Instead, they went with an empty seat approach. They basically hoped that the protest vote would win. I don't know what their strategy is. I've got to be honest. I have no idea what their strategy is. People want them to put candidates up. People want to support them. People want to vote for them. But there's nothing. And it should have been done 3 months ago. And I know they're under the pump. And I know, but it's not just Pauline Hanson show. Where are the Victorian leaders of this party? They were out at Flinders. It's beyond belief. I don't understand what's going on. All of this for Victoria is a disaster. We are probably headed for a minority ALP government reliant on a ragtag bunch of Marxists and communists in the upper house to get anything done. And as I said, God, I hope I'm wrong. I fear I'm not, though, and plenty of others have been. Though, don't know why I put that on there for a second time. Batten down the hatches, this is going to get ugly. And it is. You know, see if I've got any. I've got one comment. Let's have a look. Let's see what one comment has said on that one. No, I don't have one comment. It did say I had one. I don't. God, X sometimes annoys me. It says I've got a comment. Let's go into Jordan Ditloff. Has he replied? No, Cam. It would be history making if Carroll could turn around vote to sentiment and lead Labor to victory within 3 months of an election. It's nearly impossible. Wilson, yeah, sorry, Cam. I disagree with you. Look, mate, if you're right and I'm wrong, mate, we'll both go. I'll shout you a beer. No one will be happier than me if you're right. I don't see it. I don't see it. They've got 17 seats just to win a minority government, LNP. To win a government that can do anything, they've got to win 25 seats. That's the problem you've got. If you're like me and you live in Melbourne, you might live in, for example, an electorate that leans right or is well-to-do. But I've lived in electorates too that are in the outer suburbs. I don't see Jess Wilson winning them over. She'll go for the inner elites and the well-to-do types, but she's not going to win enough of those outer suburban seats to win government in my book. But like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm right. But having said that, Jess Wilson's not the answer. Jess Wilson and the mob and the ALP, will they be better than the ALP? Yes, but not by much. They're a bunch of moderate-run university type. They're very similar to Labor in many ways with their people. Go through look, give the LNP credit. They've got an opposition leader. They've got an opposition deputy leader. They've got a Treasury spokesperson. They've got all those in place, but they're not impressive people. And then you put them up against, and remember who's going to be running this election for Labor in the campaign. There's a lot of non-impressive people in the ALP cabinet, but they don't run the campaign. They're just a face to the campaign. The campaign is run by the trade union movement in Victoria, which is very powerful, very smart, and very politically literate, especially on social media. They will smash the Liberals in spending. They will smash them in strategy. They'll smash them in campaign ideas. They will smash them with memes. And these days, that's where it's won. And they are going to, I guarantee, well, I won't guarantee it. I hope the Liberals prove me wrong. But they, in my opinion, will run rings around the LNP machine. And then we've got the empty seats of One Nation. So, federally, I think Pauline will make an impact still. I think they're far better organised federally. Now, I don't know the inside-outside workings of the One Nation party. I will never, people have had a crack at me, well, why don't you join a party? I'll never join a political party. Again, I did it once. I regret it. I won't do it again. But that doesn't mean I can't, and you can't out there. You people out there can't be part of our democracy. And I'll give you an example of that in a minute. So it's all doom and gloom, but I want to show you something now that should all give us a bit of a cheer for a Monday. And this is in West Australia, where the ALP are even more dominant than they are here in Victoria. There is no opposition in West Australia. None. Zero. It's all Labor from all over the place. It's a red thing. But there was one lady, Peter Lyndon Jones, at Peter, Perth, West Australia. Shout out. He shared this to me. Australia, remember this name, Marka Grunewald. 1 week before polling day, so this is the West Australian election, she was wheeled into emergency surgery, appendicitis. Doctors said 4 to 6 weeks recovery. She was back on the phones the next week, and she won. You might not know her yet, but you will. Marka Grunewald, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, sits on the crossbench of the West Australia Legislative Council. That's their lower house. One seat, no major party behind her, and she's outworking half that chamber. Here's something for you Australia First mob. Born in Johannesburg, came to West Australia at 13 with a family and her faith. Studied community development and politics at Murdoch. That must be a university over there. Then spent years in the places most politicians never set foot. Foster care, prisons, running restorative justice programs, coordinating the Angel Tree Project. So kids with a parent locked up still got a Christmas present, advocating for women escaping trafficking. She didn't read about broken communities in a briefing paper. She worked in them. I'm sure her and Jordan Ditloff would get along famously. Then she ran for office and lost. Federally, 2016. State election, 2017. State election, 2021. Federal, 2022. 4 straight defeats over 9 years. Most people walk away. She didn't. In 2025, she won the first Australian Christians member. I should say probably she became the first Australian Christians member ever elected to any parliament in the country. That's her political party, Australian Christians. I could get behind that. And from day one, she's gone after one thing, accountability. Her biggest fight, and before I read these out, just for a moment, think this is what our governments defend and hide. The gender clinic at Perth Children's Hospital. For months, she pushed the Cook government to release its clinical model of care. They stonewalled. She used the one crossbench motion she gets a year to force it into the open, and the documents landed. What she put on the parliamentary record straight from the government's own answers, and I'll have a coffee before I answer the rest of that. $202 minors. And when they say minors, we're talking kids. So that's what I'm going to say. 202 kids referred to the clinic in a single year. 69 of those kids were put on puberty blockers or cross-sex hormones. That's an absolute disgrace. The youngest referred was 11. The youngest ever treated was 10. Oh, my God. How do the kids at 10 know what they want? It's just that no one should be going through this sort of treatment until they're well and truly into their adulthood, into their 20s. A service costing $2.5 million a year, whose own model runs from blockers to hormones to mastectomies referrals for teenagers. That's just evil. Evil shit. When the government refused her permission to table the evidence, including the UK's CAS review, she used Standing Order 59.2, whatever that is, to force it onto the table anyway. And here's the part that matters. Even the Greens leader, no ally of hers, said on the record he understood her concerns about transparency. She got an opponent to back the principle. She doesn't care what colour jersey you wear if you're failing the people of this state. She'll say it to your face in Parliament and back it with the government's own numbers. She also introduced the Born Equal Care and Protection Bill, the first of its kind in West Australia, so a baby born alive after a termination gets the same care as any other newborn. That's just humane. And yet in so many of our states, that's not the law. But she doesn't want to be known only as a fighter. As her first speech to Parliament, she said she wants to be a bridge builder, to bring hope, truth, and joy with some grit and courage, of course, into how she does politics. I've done the research on this woman. She's not a career politician who fell into a safe seat. She came up through the trenches and she brought every bit of it into Parliament with her. Her motto, walk the walk, do the work. Maybe One Nation in Victoria could take a bit of advice from this woman. Walk the walk, do the work. One seat, no party machine, making more noise than parties with 10 times the resources, probably 100 times. If we had 30 more like her, this country would look different. Share this if you reckon we need politicians who actually stand for something. And if your local member's gone missing, tag them and ask them where they've been. What's your thoughts? My thoughts, Peter, is you're a legend for sharing this. And my thoughts, this woman should be Australian of the Year. She also puts a lot of it to, the ethno-nationalists. I'm a heritage nationalist, and I would welcome Marka Gronewald into the Australian heritage, what traditionally has been the Australian heritage, in a heartbeat. She's like Dr. Joanna Howe. Both legends, these are the people that should be nominees for Australian of the Year, not the arseholes that we continually get. So there it is. That's a bit of hope. So while it's not great news today, one ordinary person can change things. And she's not an ordinary person. I shouldn't say ordinary. One special person can change things. So we need special people to start stepping up. I'm not that person. I know that. I'll do my own things and I'll try and change things. Maybe if I was in my 40s. But I'm realistic enough. I follow politics closely enough. I know someone like me is not what the voting public is looking for. Someone like Marka, though, is. Imagine if we had one nation with a leader like her. My God. She's probably more attuned. Well, I don't know whether she's attuned to libertarians, because libertarians I'll be happy to be corrected if I'm wrong on this, but libertarians aren't opposed to abortion. They see that as a woman's choice, and they're not opposed to assisted dying. So, because for libertarians, freedom of choice is huge, which I can get. But as a Christian, my Christianity overrides that a bit. I've got to be for life. God's precious gift to us all. So let's have on after that very somber start and a bit uplifting there with, what's her name? Like you said, got to remember her name. Marka Gronewald. I will do my best to remember it. Hard name to remember, though. Let's get into some X news of the day to finish off with. We've only got 8 minutes, so I'll go into my bookmarks, see what I've saved there. I've got to tidy up my bookmarks. I know what that's about. How's this now? If you refer to Anglo-Saxon, this is Liam Bartlett again in his interview that he had with Pauline Hanson, but he also interviewed this guy, Rupert Lowe. Apparently, if you use the word Anglo-Saxon, which would where so many of us, our heritage traces back to, you're a white supremacist. Let's have a listen.
I notice you use that expression quite often, Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah.
A lot of people could interpret that as almost, if you'll pardon the expression, white supremacy.
I don't think it's a case of...
How the God is known is Anglo-Saxon, the term Anglo-Saxon associated with white supremacy in any way, shape or form. I'll give you just one example. In Germany, the Nazis believed in the pure Aryan. That's white supremacy, right? The pure Aryan, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, whatever. Which country stood alone when everyone else had fallen to fight the Nazis? It was the English, the Anglo-Saxons. They said, no, we don't believe in that. Which country ended slavery? Which people forced their government to end slavery? The Anglo-Saxons. What a stupid, ignorant, absolute bullshit comment.
White supremacy.
But in this day and age, as you agree, words are just so important, aren't they? And when people hear someone talking about Anglo-Saxons all the time.
Well, we just say we don't care anymore. We've had enough of all that nonsense. So, people can say what they want. We don't care.
I notice you...
What an idiot. I mean, he should have come back at him harder than saying we don't care. He should have raised some of the points I just raised then, because it's just a stupid comment. Talking of stupid, he's the deputy federal leader of the Liberal Party.
So far backwards, so quickly.
Yes, my question is, why is One Nation mopping up the disenfranchised?
There is no doubt that the economy is driving a lot of people's decision-making.
The economy, really? I would say immigration is probably the one that's really driving people to One Nation. That just shows you how out of touch this woman is. Gets worse.
The moment, because standards of living have gone back so far backwards so quickly under this Labor government in particular. In fact, our standard of living has gone backwards further and faster than any developed nation around the world.
That's right.
Does everyone remember our standard of living going any way forward under the Morrison government during COVID? A government she was a member of? I don't.
Last 4 years. Either you can maintain the status quo and you can continue on with Labor. You can go to One Nation, which they have a sort of let's blow the joint up kind of.
Let's blow the joint up. You can be a critic of Pauline Hanson, but you can't say she wants to blow the joint up. She, in her way, is a patriot who loves this country. That comes across loud and clear. And if you actually took the time to read their policy platform, it's actually better than the coalition's one. So it's more pro-Australia than the coalition's one. And she reckons they just want to blow the place up. This woman is such a nitwit.
Response. But blowing the joint up isn't going to improve your standards of living. It's not going to improve the economy. You have to have a genuine plan.
And what has been the plan of the Liberal Party and the ALP over these past 10 years? They've sent us further into debt. They've raised immigration. They've made housing more expensive. They've made rentals less available. What have they done? What's their plan? They keep talking about plans, but so far their plans have left to nothing but the decline of Australian standards of living. Why should we believe them?
Credible plan and a credible team. That's what Angus Taylor and I have been talking about. In fact,
no, you've been talking a lot about One Nation.
Today we launched our credible plan.
Does anyone know about their credible plan? I don't. I'll get on their website. I'll give them a bit of doubt. But here's the problem. She says it's credible. Based on what? I mean, with the Liberal National Party, they say their plan is credible. But when they're in government, they never implemented the plan. Don't forget, it was them who implemented net zero. It was the LNP that implemented all the COVID restrictions. And then they come out and they say they didn't force anyone to get an injection. I mean, for it to be credible, they've got to have our trust. The Liberals don't have our trust. They can put out 30 plans and the voting public won't find it credible because they've breached our trust too many times. The fact that she doesn't understand this proves what an idiot she is.
That involves lowering taxes, involves lowering energy prices, it involves managing
migration. What does that mean? I would have loved to see freezing migration for 5 years. On our policy platform, we say freeze it for 10. Give us a chance to breathe and catch up and understand what we're doing with our migration. They've shown no ability to manage it.
Migration and housing together, making that, part of the same conversation, so important.
Yeah. And okay, so you're going to manage migration so we can put migrants in homes. What about Aussies that are living on the streets? What's your plan there, you silly woman?
And most importantly, putting Australians first.
One Nation are masters, if at nothing else, the online arts. They're incredibly good at getting whatever message it is they want out there online, very cheap.
People have much shorter attention span. They're more prone to...
So she just insulted the Australian public. People have a much shorter attention span and are prone to falling for a slogan. That's what she thinks of us. I've engaged with smarter people online in forums and podcasts than she'll ever meet. That's just an insult to the Australian public.
Falling for a slogan as opposed to a policy.
Sure.
Oh my God. I mean, how is she, even if you thought that, you shouldn't say it. You've just insulted every voter in the country. You're telling us we're so dumb that we don't read policy, and that might apply to some. In fact, it might apply to a lot. But I also think people can see a bullshit artist when they see one, and she's right up there. And if she's being honest, she only got her deputy leader position to placate the moderates in the party so they wouldn't bring down Angus Taylor. This one is a right royal bitch. But every time she opens her mouth, and Andrew Bragg opens their mouth, whatever good Angus Taylor does on the policy side, she ruins it.
And I do think that the coalition takes our job very seriously. We want to make sure that when we launch a policy that the work has been done behind it. We don't feel that One Nation does that. They're great at slogans, but there's no substance behind them.
What an idiot. What an idiot. Oh, my God. Little wonder they are in so much trouble with the dad ever recovering. I'll show you that one later. Who have I got? Lydia Thorpe and her son in the new parliament. Yeah, I didn't think I had much. It's 10 o'clock. Let's finish off with something a little inspiring that I just saw there. That's why I said I got to clean out my tits. This is just, I love dogs. I love this act. England's Got Talent. Brilliant. Finish off on a positive.
Oh my God, Simon, look.
Oh my gosh.
Look how smart this dog is.
Hi, my name is Anastasia. I'm 35 years old and I'm from France. And this is my best friend, Salsa.
Cute.
Salsa.
Gorgeous
And that's
dog.
a collie?
She's a border collie,
How old is she?
7 years old.
We've had some amazing dog acts across Got Talent. Do you think
Dog can't take it.
your act is better than the others?
I think it's very special because I'm not just doing tricks, I'm going to dance with her.
Nice.
Literally.
Dancing? Doggy dancing?
She looks very, very eager. Look at her. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Come on, you little dog.
Dog looks so calm.
This town's lost its faith. The colors will fade. Eventually see if our time is running out. Day after day, we'll make the mundane a masterpiece. Oh my love. I take one look at you, you're taking me.
That's amazing.
The angels up in the clouds are jealous knowing we found so this
So confident.
on the edge of your mind, staying drunk on your vibe. The angels up in the clouds are jealous knowing we found something wrong with the ordinary.
That took a while. Obviously say that you like to get poked through.
Wonderful.
Imagine that dog's in a hole with hundreds and hundreds of people, but the dog's only worried about her owner. But the dogs are amazing. He just wants to
That
make
was
time.
really beautiful.
Salsa is super talented. That dog actually likes to dance.
Yes.
It was brilliant.
I've never seen anything like that. The control you had with the dog, it was, oh my God, it makes me want to have a dog.
Oh, you've got to get a dog.
Get a dog. Get a dog, KSI.
I've got 2 cats and there's just nothing like that. Don't rule my cat.
Alicia?
That was such a loving performance. It was really warm and touching and just beautifully presented. One of a kind act. Well done. I loved it.
It was so graceful, and you can see the bond, and Salsa absolutely adores you, and just beautiful. I'm going to start by saying yes.
I thought it was incredible. It's a yes from me.
It's a yes for me.
4 yeses.
Six yeses.
Brilliant.
That was great. And that is a great way to finish off a Monday morning episode where I got on a bit late, and my apologies for that. Unfortunately, when you get talk on politics, a lot of it can be a bit of doom and gloom, and you just wonder where the hope is. In my opinion, the hope is with us, not our politicians. That story I read out about that Micah, I'll mispronounce that, Gronewald in West Australia just proves that amongst us, the electorate, amongst the Australian public, there is hope. And little wonder we don't want to go into politics. We don't want to live in that world. We want to comment on it. We want to talk about it. We understand the importance to us. But, most Australians don't want to live in that world where it's all about lying, sabotage, misleading, and dealing with people you just don't want to deal with. And I do it a bit. I have my interviews and interactions, and we talk on the politics, and because it is important to our way of life. But at the end of the day, it's our interactions with each other in normal life that is the most important. And that lady with the dog, how beautiful was that? This boy, he's beautiful. Not too sure he's ever going to dance with me, probably because I can't dance. But he'd be smart enough to do it. You want to come and say goodbye? No, he's comfortable. I like that other dog. He's more than comfortable on his couch, Susan. So anyway, that's it. I'll be back on tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Interesting times ahead of us this week, obviously by the looks, especially in Victoria. God bless you. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless your pets. God bless that flag. Let's do what we can to make our states and our country great again, because it's worth fighting for. All right. Oh, and I've left my message up there on in 10 minutes. Doesn't matter. All right. See you, everybody. See you tomorrow.